Hi, everybody. Welcome to our last number, which is number 18 on the digital trade show, Bodega Nation. And we this time will have the president of the Borough of Manhattan, and she's Gail Brewer. She has a few things for us today, and we'll welcome her to the show. Ahí tendremos a Gail Brewer, que es de Manhattan, de la asociación. Ella nos va a traer alguna información. So I was just giving a little introduction to our Spanish people. Gail, nice to see you again.
Well, thank you very much, Amelia Walker and Jose Bello, and congratulations on pulling this off virtually. It's a real accomplishment, and I am so impressed. There's no question that for me, and you know this as owners, that the bodegas are the heart and soul of New York City. So you might say, what does a borough president do? Because a lot of people don't know, but it is relevant. Most of all, we work on land use and zoning, which means that every time there's a tall building coming in or something that the city has to have input into it, with the city council and the mayor's office, we say what size it should be, how many affordable units. And then what I always do is, how do we make local businesses be part of the commercial? I must admit, I am very well known for not wanting any national chains, particularly in buildings that the city is signing off on. The second thing we do is we appoint about 1,000 people, the community boards in Manhattan, obviously, environmental boards, cultural boards, hospital boards, education boards, and we are always in Manhattan looking to have more business owners, particularly bodegas, small business, on the community board. So if that's something that you're interested in, please apply. Alden Bonilla, who is a deputy borough president for Manhattan, is in charge of this process, and also he has done immense amount of organizing of training on land use for all appointees, certainly parliamentary procedure, budgeting, technology, and so on. So just so you know, that's the second thing we do. We also allocate funding to the parks and schools, just like the city council does and the mayor. And finally, we can introduce legislation. When I became borough president, the office in Harlem was in a tall office building, and we moved it to a storefront. So it's on 125th Street between Morningside and Amsterdam. And pre-COVID, and certainly coming up really soon, we'll be opening again. And that office is open to the community. And I think it's very, very a welcoming place. So that's kind of what we do as a borough president. In the last 5 days and before, obviously, we've been from the top of Manhattan to the bottom of Manhattan, all the way from Marble Hill, which is in Manhattan, all the way down to the Lower East Side, giving out masks and sanitizer, and more importantly, talking about the census. So we stopped in hundreds and hundreds of bodegas, and obviously I've been supportive of small businesses my entire career, particularly when I was in the city council for 12 years. So I want to say, even in the last 5 days, I've been very cognizant of what the issues are. Rent is certainly the biggest one, and struggling is hard. We did try during the pandemic and since to try to find allocations of funding for small business. The one that is most current right now is in East Harlem, the Small Business Grant Program. It's a $4 million program with Councilmember Ayala and Union Settlement and the Economic Development Corporation. And any business in East Harlem that was impacted by COVID can get up to $20,000. And it's a grant, not a loan, which is really important. So obviously during the pandemic, we all worked with different groups. Like we work with Columbia University and their law school and their business school trying to get the PPP, and it's never easy, but we were trying. I'm also a huge fan of getting rid of that god-awful commercial rent tax. You probably know it goes from 96th Street all the way down to Murray and Chambers, and it basically is an extra tax only in Manhattan. It goes all the way from one side of Manhattan to the other, and we really want to get rid of it. We were able to get rid of some of it in the last city council, but I want to get rid of the entire thing. So I don't know how much the open restaurants program is helping. It brings hopefully more people to the community in terms of having restaurants outdoors and in the Parking spaces, it's hard on the restaurants. Didn't rain yet much today, but it's still been drizzly. As soon as it rains, it makes it very, very hard. And I know the restaurants are pushing to have more indoor opportunities. That's another whole challenge. Also, just in terms of working, I want to say that schools and childcare are part of that. I know my kids are grown, but there's no question that every single business person needs to have good childcare and good schools. So there, we have been focused on both. The childcare is just as big a conflicting guideline, city and state problem, and I don't need to talk about the schools. I was on the phone all day today with principals and teachers and parents, really concerned and very conflicted about what the guidelines are. So that's also something when I talk about business, I often you have to talk about childcare in schools and how are they going to work with the business community. I would also say that we have to think about how to deal with these individuals who've left, particularly Manhattan, because they do bring customers and dollars, and we hope they come back. We certainly hope they fill out their census with their New York City address and not their faraway address. I mean, it is so important. Every student in the city of New York who's in school and as a parent, you fill out for them brings in $2,700 per year. Every student in a public school. And of course, the next census is in 10 years. So that's 2,700 times a kid times 10. And then you could just go on and on about all the other federal dollars. So I'm sure you're pushing that, but I want to just say it over and over again. The governor gave every borough president and every county dollars. It was very late, but we just gave out to 15 organizations in the borough of Manhattan as part of the Manhattan Census 2020 Complete Count Outreach Grant. And again, these are for areas like Washington Heights, like the Lower East Side, and all of the NYCHA developments, where in fact there isn't a high enough count. Although the real problem is the people who left and didn't sign in their New York City address. I believe, and you know better than I do, there are about 16,000 bodegas in New York City, and every single one of them is like an oasis of support for that neighborhood. And I think all of us know, I know I've certainly experienced this, if you're away on vacation or for school or for work and you can't get anybody in the house to answer the phone in your apartment, then you call the local bodega and they often send somebody to see if the family is okay. We've all known that people can do credit much more so than you ever can in a chain store. I don't like chain stores, I'll be honest with you. Everybody knows that. I just love the bodegas and the delis. You're often open for many more hours, 24/7 even, which is so safe for pedestrians. You have your eyes on the street, and you always carry merchandise that's of interest to the community and that's relevant to the community. But now the question is, in 2020, I don't know if when this virus is going to end. I don't know if there'll be a second wave. I don't know when there's going to be some kind of a cure, prevention. I don't know when people are going to be back full time. In some cases, people are more in the neighborhoods than they are at work because Midtown is pretty empty. But I want to say anything we can do as a society. I know that you had SBS talk earlier, and you've talked that probably quite a bit today. But whether it's rent or figuring out ways in which the city government can be less onerous, that's what I'm here for. I do believe that city agencies and state agencies can tend to be overreaching in terms of how they work with business. They should educate first and give a summons second. I know you're also facing crime issues and ways in which the police and community right now, I'm a supporter of both, but they're hard to try to figure out what the police are doing, what they're not doing, and when they respond. They do respond, I'm not going to say they don't, but there's a very different feeling. I think they're pretty demoralized. I know that, and I know that they want to do a good job, but I know sometimes they're not sure what they're supposed to be doing. And so that's another challenge. And then, of course, you always have the language issues that also can come up. So I just want to say, every time I go into a bodega, I am appreciative of the hard work of that family and that owner. And I know that between trying to figure out what the city, state, and federal regulations are, trying to figure out how to be safe for you and your family, and trying to figure out how you're going to employ people, because the issue is in 2020 today is making sure that people have jobs, but so many people, because of the lack of business can't employ as many people as they did in the past. So you're facing it all. That's why this particular event today, Bodega Nation, is so important, whether it is digital or in person. The individuals who you are highlighting are the backbone of our community. And as a borough president of Manhattan, I can say that I have always supported the small business, and I hope it's not just words, that we've actually done something. But in addition, we also have to think about how we can, keep the streets clean, sanitation getting cut 65% for weekday service, and in many cases 100% for weekend service. That's a big problem. That hurts your businesses in terms of the streetscape. And also we need trees and we need the parks to be clean. So you have, just even in a one, area, there's so many issues that you have to address. So thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Well, Gail, I could not thank you enough for such a good um, opening and towards what Manhattan, towards what you as the president is doing, and recognizing how hard workers we are as bodegas owners. I'm one of them. I used to do 16, 17 hours a day, and I don't do as much anymore because my kids are taking over for me. But it's not easy to deal with a lot of, as you know, the ups and downs.
Yep, absolutely. I'm open for questions. I can't imagine. There are no harder workers, to be honest with you. There are no harder workers.
Jose, you have any questions for Gail?
Oh yeah, I just want to give the mic to Fran Marte. He is the general secretary of one of the largest bodega group in the city, and he would like to mention his organization and kind of thank you for you being with the closing remarks of this long day, important for bodegas. So, Fran, please.
Okay, my name is Francisco Martes, Bodegas and Small Business Association. We have a lot of members in Manhattan, especially in Washington Heights. I want to thank you, Mrs. Brewers, for all of the support that you always be giving to our communities, for all of your work that you have been doing. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate that you take your time to be part of the Bodegas Nation. As well, you mentioned something that is very important for us. That is the police issue. That is something that we have to work out something together to bring the community and the NYPD together. We need each other.
Yeah.
It's not a city safe without having a good service from police department service. So I believe that we have to work together on this issue to bring our community, our business, small business together, so we can work together. I want to have better communication with the NYPD and all of the elected officials. We have to work because we afraid that the situation, the crime that is spike up, go back to the 90 and the 80. So I really love that you mentioned that, and we will have to work together on this issue.
Okay. I would be glad offline we could communicate and set up the appropriate discussions, because sometimes the police department is feeling so both under siege, and at the same time, I have to say, not clear what they're supposed to be doing. So having a conversation with you and your members would be very important.
Thank you. Yes, we have to work on that.
Well, that is a very good topic because our security in the bodegas is very important. As Francisco said, it there's no nation without police. We need them to be so we could work together. You were the last show. I could not be happy enough to have you in the show to close the program. It was an amazing day. We've been up since 8:30, and your show number 18 actually. And Jose, shout out for Jose. I've done such an amazing job, and for everybody else that had been with us throughout the whole day. We thank our viewers. We thank you, Gail, for being part of the first straight show for bodegas ever. and we hope it's not going to be the last. Of course not. We have a Saturday show that we have most likely every Saturday morning. It's called Hola Bodega, where we also help. And My Bodega Online is our big support and all of that. So thank you once again. Thanks everybody. Jose, I don't know if you want to say something before Gail could leave the show.
No, it's just an honor to have this closing remarks and closing speaker. Thank you for your time. I feel kind of being close to you, and this is the first time that I see you on the screen. So thank you for your work. And then I guess that I hope that for some reason we could be able to connect Fran and his organization, another organization, with your office and with your microphone and your voice to move the issues that are important for our members.
I will be glad to do that. Thank you very much. And I'll be in touch with Francisco Marte to say what can we do, particularly in Washington Heights.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that we can start doing some meeting on the community board with Eliezer and have everybody to come to our board. I start from there, but it's something that is very important. It's an emergency now. We have to stop the violence, and we have to work together. We have to have a better communication with each other.
Yeah.
We, the bodegas, we be over the bodegas as the way that we are in every corner. So we are the best people to have a better communication with the community and to bring the message. So we work on everyone's to have a safety cities and a safety for our community.
Okay.
Thank you once again, everybody. Thank you for participating in the show. It's not going to be the last show, I promise. I'll see you guys. We will be informing as we come along. But please make sure you subscribe into the channel and support our small businesses input for bodegas owners and bodega businesses overall. Thank you and see you once again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.